We have all had painful events in our lives that can lead to depression, anxiety, addiction, or broken relationships. But here's a secret. It is not about what happened to us that causes suffering. It's the stories we believe about ourselves. Join us as we shine light on how to rewrite our stories, avoid the shadows of shame, and travel along the pathway to joy, love, and connection. It's the Finding Peace podcast with your host, Amazon best-selling author, Troy L. Love.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Finding Peace podcast. Today, I have one of my friends that I've known for a few years now, Justson. It's pronounced Justson, but everybody calls him Justson for some reason. Well, obviously, but his name really is Justson. And he's actually a pretty cool dude. He does lots of different voices, and he's a D&D dungeon master and currently works for Amazon and just does a lot of cool stuff. So please join me in welcoming Justson to the Finding Peace podcast. How are you?
I am anxious
About
just life, I feel like, in general,
So is there something in your life that you'd like to have a little bit more peace or joy or clarity about?
Self-love.
Okay.
Is that doable?
Sure. Can you tell me a little bit more about what is so hard about loving yourself?
Feels impossible. It feels like a scam that people say that you can love yourself. I feel like in my life, what I keep bumping up against is the fact that I don't love myself is the core issue. Like I've just digging to the bottom of the box, trying to figure out why can't I be who I want to be? And I've come to the conclusion that it's because I don't love myself that I don't care to do it. I'm overweight because I don't love myself. Because if I'm just going to the gym for just me, it's not worth it. I, don't eat the best food because I don't love myself. If I'm just eating the best food for me, it's not worth it. I can't overcome my addiction because if at the core I have to do it for myself, then I'm never gonna do it. Because when it comes to what I want and what I need and what's good for Justson and what's good for myself, I just ultimately don't care. And I feel like when people say that they love themselves, I feel like they're lying. I feel like what they're actually seeing is the way they feel about themselves when they serve and love other people. But nobody actually truly loves themselves. They just think they do because they are in a good place in their life where they can love other people. And it makes them feel like they have value and that they're worthy of being because of what they can contribute. And I just feel like, yeah, but without others, if it's just me, I'm nobody. I have nothing, I'll be 30 in less than 6 months and I don't have a career path. I don't have any education. I have, dead end job. I'm overweight and I've been saying that I was going to lose that weight since I've been a teenager. And I'm still addicted to pornography, even though I have been trying to quit for probably close to 5 or something years now. And it's I've wanted to be an influencer of some kind. I wanted to start a YouTube channel multiple times, and I've quit on every project. Even when they were doing well, I was like, wow, I was doing really well. Okay, time to quit. It's I just have no follow through or commitment when it's just about me. For other people, it's a lot more manageable. But for just me, forget about it. It's just for my own benefit, for my own sake. Might as well just give up before. Don't even waste any time trying to. Just not going to happen.
Why does it have to be just about you?
Well, that's what I hear that it keeps coming down to. It's like when I talk to people who are in recovery and I say, well, I'm doing this because, I want to be sober for my wife, or I want to be sober for my future, whatever, blah, 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 whatever reason I come up with. They're like, well, what about being sober for yourself? And my answer is always, yeah, no. It's just like I can say, like, yeah, I'm working on my relationship with myself and whatever, but I just feel like, no, I just don't care about me. Like, I just don't care. It's just, yeah, it's just yeah. So why should I care? I guess I should care because people tell me I should care. They say if you really want to change something, if you really want to, make a difference in your life, like if you want to lose the weight, or you want a better job or whatever, you've got to invest in yourself. And in order to really want to do that, you've got to care about yourself. You got to love yourself and want better for yourself. And so I just feel like, yeah, that feels like, well, then I'm screwed.
So what are the reasons that you're not worth loving?
I don't keep my word. For me, the people who do what they say when they say they're going to do it, to me, those people look like superheroes, like wizards. And, it's like Dr. Manhattan from that comic book thing where he like can just do anything. Like, it just feels like I just don't have that ability, because what that takes is being inspired or having an idea, going, okay, I'm going to work towards that, and then doing it, and doing it when you say you're going to do it. And when it comes to me, I will be inspired. I'll have all this fire to do this thing. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to be great at it. And it's going to be amazing. And here we go. And oh, I'm so inspired. I'm on fire. And I'll start taking steps towards it. And then in a short amount of time, it's all gone. And I just, oh yeah. And I have a million and one excuses why I'm not doing whatever I said I'd be doing. Even when it comes to my addiction recovery, it's like, I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm, never going to that place again. And it's not even because it's like, oh, I've just relapsed and I'm feeling ashamed. It's just like, I'll hear something from a podcast, or I'll go to a group meeting, and I'm whatever. And then I'm just fired up, and I'm like, I'm going to conquer this. This is, I'm taking control of my life today. And then like 8 days later, I'm like, oh, I relapsed again. Well, so
you're not worth loving because you don't have integrity?
Yeah. Now you're getting it.
Oh, okay. Any other things on the list that make you unlovable?
Something that used to be a really big wound for me is this feeling of I'm not good enough. I feel like that has diminished greatly. I did some like hypnosis thing, and we like rewrote the story of what happened. And now, rather than a huge abandonment wound because I'm not good enough, it feels more like just loss and less I'm not good enough. So I don't know. It doesn't feel completely authentic to say I'm not good enough, but I'm not worth it. I'm not worthy of it. I don't know. The pieces don't quite fit together at the moment.
Worthy of?
I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of love and acceptance, of mattering, of, inherent value and acceptance. And yeah, I feel replaceable and unseen, and I feel temporary. I feel like a tool to be used. And so if I don't serve my purpose, then why am I here?
What's your purpose?
To be a loyal husband, aka not watching pornography and lusting over other women and thinking about, whatever, and fantasizing, and to be financially productive as a husband and as a father. Don't have kids, but if I had kids, be a productive father. So covering the needs of my family and those I love and care about. And that's pretty much it. Make money, be loyal. I guess loyalty goes deeper than just not just straying, but like, being attentive and loving and caring and present. Yeah, and I don't make money and I'm not loyal. So I'm worthless. I don't know. Can I say that I grew up in a cult? Is that allowed?
So if you made money and you were loyal, then you'd be enough.
Yeah. I'm sure I'd find something new to say that I'm not. But from my vantage point right now, that's the story, yes.
I was going to say, so how much money do you have to make in order to be worth it?
The first number that comes to mind would be like $1 million a year. Makes me feel like
$1 million.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, that's like successful by almost everyone's viewpoint. So it's like, okay, I'm a successful, productive man. I matter. I value. I produce wealth that and touch the people I love and take care of them.
I'm making $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not achievable.
Unless I do something. If I just, play video games and watch Netflix and procrastinate and scroll Instagram reels for 10 hours a day, of course not. It's impossible to produce any money if you're not doing anything. If you're just waiting for something to happen, in all likelihood, someone's not going to knock on the door and be like, hey, I want to hire you for this position. You do nothing and I give you $1 million a year. And I think you're the perfect candidate. I observed you doing nothing for the past 5 years and it's inspiring. I think you're exactly the guy we need. It's like, that's not going to happen.
Oh, it's not?
As far as I know.
I've been waiting for that, man. I've just been really hoping someone would do that for me.
I think trust fund babies, that's the only way that'll happen. But my parents are not wealthy, so.
You're not a trust fund baby?
No, unfortunately.
So what else is on the list? The list of reasons why Justson is not worthy of love.
Because he doesn't show up emotionally. He's not emotionally available. I hide within my fortress of avoidance. And I just feel like such a loser for doing that. I did that. It ruined my marriage. My wife separated and was on the verge of divorce. And I got a second shot and everything was going great. And then I clammed up and started being avoidant again. And now it's like, okay, no, back to square one. Let's rewind, go back to that divorce chapter. And it's like, I know that things would be different had I just not went back into my turtle shell of avoidance. And it feels like I'm just too much of a coward and a loser to just show up and to just get hurt. I'm so terrified of being hurt. And I feel like a pathetic loser for caring so much about being hurt.
Hurt in what way?
Emotionally, feeling rejected, feeling made wrong, feeling abandoned, feeling those feelings are incredibly painful for me. Or there's a part of me that believes they are, and so works very hard to avoid them. And the irony of it is, by being avoidant in that way, I push away the people that I care about, and then I feel a lot of pain when those relationships end. And knowing that fully, I still avoided the relationship.
So what are your top attachment wounds?
Neglect is one of them, one of the more prevalent. Rejection, I would say rejection and abandonment are pretty close, holding hands with each other. Neighbors. Yeah.
How long have you had them?
For as long as I can remember, since I was a little boy, 7 or 8.
And so then the core belief that's most associated with them is?
I don't know. Core belief, I'm not good enough. I am not worthy of love.
Yeah, that one.
I fall short.
I'm not worthy of love and belonging. So On a scale of 1 to 7, 7 being absolutely true, how true are the words, I'm unworthy of love and belonging? How true do they feel?
Well, my immediate reaction is a 7. I'm just like 7 immediately. But then my more logical side is like, well, I mean, I should probably say something like 3.5.
But so your immediate reaction is 7.
Yeah.
Where do you feel that in your body?
Like in between my lungs where my heart hangs out.
And what does it feel like?
A hot tension,
Mm.
like a sinking.
And the evidence that you use to continue to promote that belief is evidence.
My lack of action. My saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose a bunch of weight. I'm going to do this diet. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to get 90 days of sobriety. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to post a video every week. I'm going to, have an accountability partner that I talk to every day. Whatever it is, I'll make a thing, something I care about or something I think I should care about. And then I will commit to doing it and then proceed to not do it.
So because you don't follow through, you therefore are unworthy of love and belonging.
That's exactly correct. Yes.
Oh. And so the benefit that you get out of continuing to believe that you are unworthy of love and belonging is?
I want to say that, well, there is no benefit, but what feels right is the benefit is I get to hide
From?
everything.
Mm-hmm. Can you be more specific?
I can avoid trying things that I am afraid to discover that I am not good enough to do.
Mm.
If I never give my 100% on a relationship or a goal or a job, then when I am eventually fired or broken up with or make no progress or whatever, then, well, I didn't really give it my full. So, I probably still could do that thing. I just lazy, or I was tired, or I'm sad, or I didn't really like that thing, or there's a better thing, or make an excuse, make a.
Mm. So how much longer do you want to hold on to this core belief?
I mean, apparently for the rest of my life, man. I have been here to this conclusion and had this conversation in so many different ways and so many different times. And I'm always like, this is it. I'm done, man. I'm not going to play this game anymore. And then, a month later, I'm like, yeah, I'm not good enough. I'm afraid. And it's just like, it's exhausting. And I feel stuck. I just feel like, yeah, this is impossible. I will never learn to love myself. It feels impossible. And I will just stay stuck and alone forever.
So it sounds like a really strong self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that is?
I am sad because I am fat, so I eat, and I eat, which makes me sad and makes me fat, so I eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the kind of snake eating its own tail kind of an issue.
Yeah.
I don't do anything because I'm sad. I'm afraid that if I do something, I'll fail, which means I don't do anything, which makes me feel that I'm not worthy of love because I don't do anything. And then I don't do anything because I feel like I'm not worthy of doing anything because you got to be.
Pounds upon itself, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So is it true you don't do anything?
Define anything, and then I'm sure I can find something that I do. I load the dishwasher maybe 5 times a week. I, I you know, I sleep every day. Like there's lots of things that I do, every day that I'm scheduled for work, I go to work, it's like, I don't know, like, sure, but like, things that I feel matter or really add significance, measurable, something that a stranger could see and go, wow, that's really cool. Dang, you're somebody. I feel like, no, not really, no. Especially if I do the best thing you can do for your mental health, which is comparison. If I compare myself to others, they say comparison is the fountain of joy, right? No, wait. Comparison is a thief of joy. Dang it. Whoops. I've had it backwards this whole time.
So you have to do something amazing in order to be worthy of love and belonging. And since you only put the dishes away 5 days a week, that's not.
Well, maybe not amazing, but slightly extraordinary. I don't mean extraordinary as in like, wow, but I just mean like just a little extra of what's ordinary. Just a little extraordinary. Just something just a little bit outside of the normal. Then there you go. You're in. You're now worthy of notice in the tribe. You're now, I feel like to be exactly ordinary, to be exactly normal, is to exist within the tribe and provide zero value. You're not taking away value from the tribe, but you're also not really adding anything. And I feel like at this point I'd be grateful just to be the zero in the tribe, because I feel like a weight. I'm a negative. I'm a loss. And I feel like the tribe is having a meeting about whether or not they should kick me out, because I'm just a burden. And I don't want to be a burden. I want to be someone who's contributing to the tribe, who's in the meeting talking about the guy we should kick out.
So what does your wife have to do to be worthy of love and belonging?
Oh, see, she's special. She's different. So she's nothing. She benefits from the condition known as being a beautiful woman. And so all she has to do is exist, and I adore her.
So she has to be beautiful.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that feels...
So ugly people are not worthy of love and belonging either.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
As an ugly person, I feel like I can say that.
I see. So there's a flaw there in your logic, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like in general, other people can get away with a lot that I don't. I don't feel like I can get away with. I know a lot of ugly people that I feel like are worth love and belonging despite their ugliness. That's because they contribute something in a way that I don't.
So the challenge is that logic is never going to convince you that you're worthy of love and belonging.
Yeah, because I can always find a loophole, a plot hole, a backdoor.
So where is your source of truth?
No, I don't think I have one.
Have you ever had a source of truth?
When I was younger.
So you had a source of truth that is no longer a source of truth.
Yeah, growing up, I had a really strong connection with God, and I didn't have faith in God. I had a knowing. I knew, and then that got just stolen from me, just completely taken. Nobody did it on purpose. I was at church when I lost my faith, listening to a person give a sermon, and I was just like, "Whoa, where'd it go?" It just drained out of me like all at once, like someone pulled the plug on a bathtub. And yeah, so I haven't had like a spiritual center where I can, and that's like where growing up, that's where everything came from, was this source of spirituality, was like, this is the ultimate truth of everything, and everything else.
But was that source the faith, the church?
More just the beliefs that my parents, told me to believe, things that, I don't think I needed to have a connection with the community to come to the same conclusions I did growing up. Just my parents telling me what to believe, really.
So now that your faith is changed, what do you believe in?
I don't really believe in anything. I don't want to not believe in anything, though, so I'm constantly searching for something. I think people who come to the conclusion that we are just chemical robots that exist on Earth and then die and that's it, I feel like if they're okay with that, it's because they don't understand what that really means. And so for me, I'm like, no, I'm desperate to find proof that there is a God and there is something more and something greater. Because accepting that there isn't is just not a storyline that I want to read. I don't want to live in a world like that. So I am constantly on the search for something that will make me go, oh, this is it. There is a God, and it's undeniable. Like, you'd have to be in complete denial to refute that experience or this evidence or whatever. And that's hard. That's tough to do.
What have you found so far?
Something, not nothing. I found a lot of really hard to explain stories from people who've had near-death experiences, and a lot of similarities, despite these people being very not religious. And so I feel like, maybe, and so it's given me hope that there is some sort of greater purpose or being beyond myself. But I don't feel that in good faith that I would say that I believe because of that.
Have you connected with what I guess I would call the source? I call it the force, but have you connected with the force?
Yes, and maybe not. I feel like at the time, I feel like, oh yeah. But looking back, I feel like, well, I could explain that as this and that. And, maybe I was just hearing my own voice and I was connecting to a source of intuition and da-da-da. Or maybe I'm making that story mean so much more than it really does because, I see myself as having importance to the narrative of life. And so that thing happening feels like, wow, maybe this was orchestrated in some way, but really I'm just have, a bias and I'm making conclusions that are not connected, that science thing of like just correlation is not causation kind of a thing. So it's like, just because it looks connected doesn't mean it's just coincidence that I'm drawing connections to because my brain does that automatically, but there's no actual connections. It's just coincidence that looks like it's too convenient to be coincidence. But there's also plenty of times when I prayed or I asked for an answer and got what I thought was a very clear answer and it was wrong. So it's like, that's also like, am I choosing what I want to see? And so I'm ignoring all the times it didn't work. So, which sucks. I really hate it. I miss that knowing that I had as a child of God is a person who loves me and he has a plan for me. And I just have to believe and trust in that plan. And even the painful things that happen for a reason. And I believe and trust and have faith in it. It's great. It's perfect. It absolved me of everything. I had no responsibility except to try to do the best that I understood his will to be through scripture or whatever. And now it's like, you're on your own. Life is potentially completely empty and meaningless. And make of it what you will. And no matter what you make of it, in the end, it'll all be meaningless and worthless anyway, because you'll be dead. And eventually everyone you know will be dead and everyone they know will be dead. And eventually all life will be dead. And nothing will have ever mattered anyway. And it's just like, yeah, I don't like that at all.
Well, what would you prefer to believe instead?
That there's a loving God who cares deeply for me. And he created the entire everything as a playground for me and my siblings. And he's so excited to see me try out this world he's made for me and explore it and to fall down and scrape my ankles and to get up and try again. And that all he wants for me is be happy and discover all of the beautiful things. And that this is a place for me to mature and to test and to explore. And that it'll all make sense and be so clear and so obvious that it's funny when I die and meet him and connect with all my ancestors and relatives and friends in the afterlife. And then in the afterlife, there'll be eternal purpose and joy and love, and it'll all just keep going on forever, and it'll just be great. Which, now that I say it like that, the last part causes extreme anxiety. So, like,
What do you mean?
well, if I go on forever, like, what is that? Do I get bored of that eventually? But do I eventually reabsorb with God as I get tired of eternal existence, or is it reincarnation? Like, I don't know. Like, that kind of stresses me out now. I don't know. I'm just like, oh wait, hold on. Maybe that's because I watched the Good Place, and at the end of the Good Place, it's a weird conclusion that I don't like.
Oh, but you want to believe something like that?
Yeah, yeah. And if that can't happen, and then we are just meat bags, I'd like for scientists to figure out immortality in my lifetime. Make it cheap and affordable.
Oh, so what would it be like to believe that the universe has your back and wants you to experience joy and love and prosperity?
Well, there's a voice in my head saying, I know where you're going with this. You're trying to get me to try that on and then feel the feeling and then ride the feeling and use that feeling to change my life. But I just feel like really resistant to trying that on, because I feel like, I need a knowing. I can't operate in the realm of faith. I don't want to try it on and go, well, this feels really good. And now I feel inspired. And like, I feel like, no, that's scary. Cause then what if I'm wrong? And then I just,
I'm hearing that you can't really even imagine what it would be like to have the universe just fully embrace you and just love you and have you be enough just because.
I feel like the universe loves us all equally in the way that it doesn't love any of us at all, because it doesn't know we exist, because it isn't a conscious being.
Okay, God, however you want to refer to the force.
Okay, God. I don't know. My ability to personify God into a being that I can connect with is really damaged, and I blame fantasy genre for that. Seeing gods being such flawed, selfish creatures has not been healthy for my perspective on a divine being that loves and cares about me. I don't know. It's hard. I can't. It's so difficult. If there's a God, why? Why did they do this? I just feel like there's so many things that, if life was a video game, this better be the beta, because this feels so not fun to play. I just feel like, why so many things that we chose to do. Like, what's the point of that? Like, what version of life did we think that mosquitoes was a good idea?
So, what I'm hearing is that for you, there's not really a source of light and truth.
No. I mean, I feel like I'm lying when I say no. I feel weird. I feel conflicted. I feel like, I don't know.
You're stumped?
I just feel like, how am I supposed to know? There's just so much that I can't explain. So I feel like, well, there's got to be something. But also, there's this part of me that just feels like that I can't grab onto any certainty about that. So I just feel like, or not. And so the idea of a loving God being out there just doesn't solidify for me. Even if God is not really personified, even if it's like the law of gravity is like there's the law of love, and that's like an entity in a sense that loves us because it is love, and it's love created the universe and all that. It's just like I don't know how to connect with that.
Has there ever been a time in your life when you felt unconditionally loved?
No.
Never.
I don't think so. I could fabricate a memory if you'd like.
No,
I just feel like
why you be honest?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm sure if you ask my wife, she'll tell you many examples where she loved me without any agenda or goal or anything other than because she cared for me and wanted what's best for me and did it unconditionally. So I believe that she did. I just didn't feel unconditionally loved. Have I been unconditionally loved? Highly possible. Very likely. Have I felt unconditionally loved? No, I've never felt unconditionally loved.
Mm. So there's always been a condition for loving you.
I have a hard time grappling with the idea that people don't have an ulterior motive or agenda, even if that agenda is beneficial for me in some way. Like, it doesn't mean an agenda and ulterior motive doesn't mean that it's false pretenses. It just means that there's something more beyond just what's happening that drives this person's actions or way of being. So,
Well, who do you love?
I hesitate to answer the question because I feel like I don't. Because either I don't really know how or I'm too afraid to.
I mean, you don't know how.
It wasn't modeled for me as a child what healthy love looked like. And so I don't know how to do that. Or I'm just too afraid to do it because loving people makes me feel vulnerable and unsafe.
So you don't feel safe.
Yeah, being honest and vulnerable and connected with people is very difficult for me.
Because if you were honest, they would
use my honesty against me.
In what way?
I just had experiences as a child that stuck with me, apparently stuck with me very, very firmly, that when I was vulnerable and honest with people, it was weaponized and used to hurt me. To me, I feel like it's not going to sound like a very traumatic experience, but I was very young. I was 8 or 12, somewhere in that range, and I was playing World of Warcraft. My older brother comes to me and he goes, "Hey, what's your login information for World of Warcraft?" What do you want to know? He goes, "Well, your character has really high level mining, and I want to use that character to farm up some resources." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Sure, here's my information." The next day, I log on and I can't because the parental controls have been activated on my account. And I knew that my mom was both too lazy and too technologically inept to be able to figure that out on her own. And then I confronted my mom and she admitted that my brother had set it up for her. And when I confronted my brother, I was like, "Did you at least actually use my character to go get materials?" And he was, "No." I felt so betrayed and so wounded. And, I'm sure I can hear parents being like, well, it's probably because you were playing too many video games and your mom was just looking out for you. And it's like, no, I was I was quote unquote homeschooled, but my parents didn't actually do anything. I was no schooled. I was completely neglected and entirely alone for many hours of the day, just in the house alone, for literally up to 6 hours, completely unsupervised, quite regularly. And I had nothing to do. And so World of Warcraft was this great outlet because there was a community. It's an online game, you play with other people. And there were these voice channels that you could jump in with if you had friends. And I made a lot of friends and had people that cared about me. There was an older woman. She was like in her 40s. She had 2 kids my age. And she was like a mom to me. And when my account got turned off, I lost access to those people. I was devastated. They were the only human interaction that I would have on a daily basis. People who actually listened to me. In my family, it was such a large family that at the dinner table, when I tried to contribute and be seen, I just was talked over. And if I ever was loud enough to be heard, people would tell me to stop talking because what I had to say wasn't interesting. But in World of Warcraft, I was a valued member of my guild. You know, people cared about me. I was someone important. I was great at making money in the game, and people valued my financial contributions, and I was relatively decent at playing the game, and so people, you know, I had a place, and I could speak, and people would hear what I said. It's also the nature of speaking online. Any online room, only one person can talk at a time, really. So it's kind of the benefit in sort of a way, is if you start talking, people kind of have to listen. But yeah, I felt seen and valued and wanted and protected. There was, you know, drama in the guild at one point or another, and people would stand up for me and go, no, Justson is important. Kick so-and-so out of the guild, keeping Justson. And then to just be completely cut off of that because I was vulnerable and told my brother. Had I not told my brother, they would not have been able to get access to my account because my mom was not involved in my life and did not have access to my email in order to reset my password and all that. She didn't have access to any of it because I was completely anonymous. She didn't even pay for my account. I paid for all my stuff. And so, and I didn't get any money from her. I got my money outside. You know, I would shovel snow in the winter, I would cut people's grass with their lawnmower. Like, I figured out ways to make money to play the game. Like, my mom didn't contribute. So she couldn't take anything away from me to get me to stop playing. But she felt guilty that I was playing so much and not doing my homework. So her solution was to take away the game and he'll do his homework unsupervised. It's like, no, an 8-year-old is not gonna, oh, I have nothing to do, I guess I'll do my homework. So that was a huge wound. And I don't know, it's a weird point, but it hurt me so much that he didn't actually use my account for what he said he was going to, that he just completely gaslit me and lied to me to get to the result. And I couldn't figure out why he betrayed me, because as brothers, we were usually on each other's side for stuff like that. We would usually unite against my parents for one reason or another. And so I couldn't figure out his motive to why he did it. And I was just so hurt. And from that point on, I, you know, had this perspective. And so anytime something even remotely similar happened, I would, oh, there it is again. Oh, there it is again. Okay, I can't. And so I developed this avoidant behavioral pattern of, I'm not going to reveal my inner workings. I'm not going to show how I actually function on the inside. Because when my mom learns what's important to me, she weaponizes it. So from now on, whenever she goes, oh, you know, tell me about yourself, I would just lie and just make stuff up. And sure enough, my mom would then try to grab those as pressure points to control me. And people, again, I can hear parents going, well, you got to control your kids somehow. I'm not talking about a healthy kind of, you know, bedtime and chores and be respectful. I mean, like, my mom was really weird and manipulative and abusive. And like, she'd be upset at you and she'd think of, you know, you, I don't know. Whatever. I don't need to get you to understand my abuse, whoever's listening.
So what did it feel like to have that mom on the game care for you?
I felt seen. I felt heard, and I felt valuable. You know, I'd log on and she was there and I'd be like, hey, and she'd be like, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. She played a lot because she had spine condition. She had spurs on her spine, so moving was really painful. So she just sat in a wheelchair all day, and so she was at her computer all the time. And yeah, I'd tell her about how I was thinking or how I was feeling, and it could be about the game or not. And she was always just as interested. And she made me feel like one of her kids. I guess because for her, I was the age of her kids. So I don't know. It's weird. Look now as an adult, I'm like, man, wouldn't I be annoying or something? Wouldn't you want to get away from your kids in your escape fantasy land, not have another one to take care of? But I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not going to try to understand her motive, but yeah, I felt seen, and she would often make space for me. I'd try to say something in a group environment. There'd be like 30 people on the call, and I'd say something, and I'd get talked over, and then she would say something, and people would stop talking because she was respected in the community. And then she'd go, Justson, what'd you say? And then I'd repeat myself, and then people would go, oh, okay, that's a good idea, or oh no, we tried that, or whatever. So I felt, I don't know the word for that, made space for. I felt wanted, I guess.
So can you go back there and try to connect with what that feels like in your body?
Yeah, I feel it.
Can you describe it for me?
It's like a glowing, gold, kind of uplifting, rising feeling.
On a scale 0 to 10, how intense is it right now?
I think a 6-ish, maybe a little more.
What temperature is it?
It's like 90 something.
What texture is it?
Smooth like glass.
Can you just breathe into it? With every breath you take, as you breathe into that energy and see if you can get it to expand just a little bit further inside of your body. And is there anything we can do to move it from a 6 to a 7?
I feel like it was at a 7, and then my ego was like, no, it's too high. Let's push that number down.
All right, so let it go back up to 7. And is there anything we can do to make it an 8?
Yeah, I'm there.
Just breathe into that, man. When you breathe into that, I want you to just ask that feeling a question. What in this moment, with this golden, warm, smooth feeling, what is true about Justson?
He is needed and wanted and valuable, and I'm struggling to say the word irreplaceable. It's like
I'm wanted.
Yeah, definitely very wanted and quite needed.
Okay, so breathe into that. Just put your hands over where you feel that in your body.
I don't even feel it in my body anymore. It's really big.
Oh, good. Just breathe into that. Be present with that. How can you hold on to this?
I don't know.
Well, what did we do to make it happen?
We called a powerful memory.
Mm-hmm. Time when you were loved. by somebody who cared about you. Did you have to do anything to make her love you or care about you? You think it's because you did well in the game?
Well, no. I think that's my more complicated older parts of me being like, well, analyzing the experience and trying to get their grubby little fingers on things that I don't know that were true. But I was, at the time in that game, I was obscenely rich. And the
So
only
that's
way
why
you
she would talk to you.
I highly doubt it.
So it's possible she loved you just because?
Yeah.
And when you connect with this golden, warm feeling, I'm wanted, I'm needed. On a scale of 1 to 7, how true does that feel?
I mean, it feels like a 7, but I just feel like, well, that can't be right.
Okay, well, that's okay. So try not to challenge it, okay? Just hold on to it for a minute, right? I want you to imagine that you're holding that energy in your right hand. And then in your left hand is that energy that I'm not enough. I don't matter. And what happens is you kind of hold on to both energies at the same time.
I don't know. They're both really strong. I can feel the I'm not good enough, creeping up my arm and trying to shatter the other side, this feeling of I'm wanted and needed. And it's like, man, it's hard. This feeling feels really big right now, but this little feeling of, I'm not enough. It's like, it's so dense and old and sharp.
So you have a choice as to which one you want to hold on to.
Yeah, I'd like to very much to hold on to the good feeling.
Okay, so drop the other one on the ground. Just drop it.
Way ahead of you. As soon as you were like, which one you would like to hold out, I was like, yeah, let me put that down.
Good. So just notice what it does. It was heavy. It's on the ground.
It feels like concentrated evil. It's like, it's dark purple and like crackling and poisonous and sticky and like sharp and just like I could feel it when I was like pinching my fingers together, holding this little needle of I'm not good enough. I could feel the tips of my fingers buzzing.
What do you want to do with it?
Oh, interesting. I was like, well, I don't want to cast it into the abyss, throw it into where they put the One Ring in that movie. I don't know.
Mordor.
But it's interesting. There's this part of me that's like, wait, no, that's, I might need it later.
Oh.
Like that can't be right. Why would I need this later? Like, what possible function could this provide?
It's done a lot for you in the past.
Yeah.
So as you look at it, what do you want to do with it?
I want to destroy it. It feels indestructible. It feels like this,
Okay. So I want you to shift your attention to the energy in your right hand. So rather than focusing on the energy of the ground, I want you to move your attention to the light. And breathe that in again. what do you notice?
It feels the darkness feels greatly diminished. It feels like, yeah. I feel much more like, okay, yeah, I'm willing to let go of this. I'm willing to move past this feeling of pain and suffering. But I still feel like just a little resistance to the idea of...
Okay. So I want you to imagine that you and the golden feeling move forward ahead of it 100 yards, the length of a football field. So it's way on the other side of the field. But you still have the loving energy. And what do you notice now?
Yeah, it feels greatly diminished. Like, I feel like it's this like dark crackling energy, like reaching across the football field, like trying to drag its source towards me. Like, no, don't leave us behind.
All right.
Oh man.
Do you want to leave it behind?
Yeah, I feel like anything that looks like that, I don't think you should trust that. It feels like, I'm watching a movie or something. It's like, that's so obviously an evil tainted artifact. Like, don't touch that.
Perfect. So in front of you are people you care about. Who's there?
Some friends of mine.
And what happens is you see them and you're holding this warm light.
I feel safe.
What does that move you to want to do?
Connect with them.
So we started with you saying that you're told by people that, you have to want this for yourself. You have to do this for yourself. And the truth is, dude, we're wired for connection. My choices impact you. Your choices impact me. For better or for worse. We are so connected to each other. So yeah, I hear what they're saying. That you have to want this for you. But is it okay if you wanted it for them?
Yeah, it feels like fine.
Mm-hmm. And if you want it for them because you love them, can you also accept their love for you?
Yeah, it's a little harder, but yeah.
And is it harder when you have this energy that I'm wanted?
No, that's a given.
So I'm going to ask you again, what's something you can do, something really small that you can do to connect with this feeling?
Like on a daily basis or right now?
So close your eyes again. Well, first open your eyes for me. And put your hands like this. And then link your thumbs together and put it on your chest. Okay? And then close your eyes. And I want you to connect again with that light. And that truth, I'm wanted. And then I want you to slowly tap left and right, really slowly. And what do you notice?
Just like a nice rising feeling.
Beautiful. And what's it trying to tell you?
I don't know. Just feels good.
Are you wanted?
Yeah.
There you go. So this is a tool you can use. How we did it was we remembered you being there with that mom who would say something to get everyone to calm down so that they could hear what you had to say. She cared about you. And then we connected with that feeling, and then you anchored it in with what you just did. And the core belief is, I'm wanted.
Yeah.
So you think you could do that tomorrow?
Right now, I feel like, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a small voice in the other side of the football field like, no, you won't do it.
Well,
I will reach you.
right. So, you struggle because you don't feel like you're a man of integrity. And the way that we build integrity is doing what we said we're going to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And it can just be something really small. You could do it when you're in the shower. You could do it when you're lying in bed. It's not going to take very long. It could be 5 seconds. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. And part of that is having somebody that you are accountable to. And then you just check it in and say, hey, I did it, or I didn't. Even that is having integrity. I didn't do it. So who in your life do you know that you could check it in with?
Maybe my wife.
You could.
I'm setting an alarm to do it tomorrow.
I love that. Thank you. You are
setting it to repeat every day.
I love it.
Done.
You wanted, Justson.
Thank you.
And I've always loved you from the moment I met you.
I know, that's what drove me away.
I get that. No, I totally get that. But it's still true. Thank you for your work tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I didn't cry. I was like, dang it. That would have made the episode better.
It's all good, dude. Not everybody has to cry.
You've been listening to the Finding Peace podcast. If you love the show or want to ask a question, let us know by going to findingpeaceconsulting.com. There, you can also learn about the Finding Peace 5-Day Challenge. Remember to subscribe to this podcast so you won't miss the next episode. And if you are listening on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating. It really does help other people find this podcast more easily. Thank you for spending part of your journey with us. And a special thanks to Johnny Porter for producing the show, and A.G. Flux for the new background music. Copyright Finding Peace Consulting.